We are here reminiscing with MacD. This is blatantly stealing off of Thorin, who does reflections. I couldn't think of a better word to replace it. I'm here with McCain, MacD, Lavelle. How are you doing?
Hello, what is up? That is my name. Good job.
So, what are you up to? How are you? How are things been?
Oh, just keeping on, trying to. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'm just kind of working on and trying to do and get done.
Like,
I don't know. I don't know. Just there's a. I'm taking an online class to get some skills. I've got some possible tournament things in the works,
ooh,
hosting wise, but communication there is very back and forth. So we're just it's in the works. Outside of that, just kind of trying to move forward and figure out how to keep going.
what are these online skills you're trying to gather?
You want me to just give away all my secrets?
Yeah, I want to know all your secrets, man.
I'm taking an online class in an online course in financial analysis.
Ooh.
So basically, going back to my econ uh, roots and remembering how to do normal people stuff.
So you're gonna help me with Tafo stats with those skills.
I mean, I can run Excel. I can run databases. I know statistics, all that good.
Sick, sick. All right, you're my first intern. Alrighty. So we're bringing you here because we're talking about your melee career and your melee life. Though it's not to say that your other endeavors aren't important. So McCain, what's your story? Everybody has a story of how they got into competitive Smash. What's yours?
uh, the short and sweet version is I was ASB treasurer my junior year of high school, so I had both lunches, and we were right next to where the gaming was. So I ended up playing a lot of games at lunch, both lunches, and one of the games we ended up playing a lot was Smash Brothers, and I ended up beating everyone there a lot. And one of the guys there just, I guess, wanted to try to get better or like learn more about the game. So he went online and ended up finding Smash boards. And from there, we learned about advanced techniques and tournaments and all that good stuff. And I was basically hooked since then because I always loved Smash. And I was like, whoa, you can play like online, or not online, but
Well, now we
tune in.
can.
Now we can, but it was like, oh, there's like tournaments and people compete, and like there's all these people trying hard, and I was like, that's so cool. So that was December of '06. Yeah, December of '06. So that's kind of when I got in and got into Smash.
And back then, you were actually from NorCal and not SoCal. A lot of people associate you with SoCal, but your OG roots, just like myself, are from NorCal.
Yes, even more specifically SenCal, since I was about an hour and a half from the Bay Area. But I grew up near Modesto, where Waffles was from. So actually, Waffles, homemade Waffles, was one of the first people I played with a lot. So we got, he can, I'm sure he could tell you stories about him from back in the day. My little trashy Peach main, but would drive everyone to the tournaments. I'd be the one who could drive everyone to the Bay Area, so I ended up being everyone's ride a lot. And we just kind of, blossoming friendship, and that's how I learned to play against all these weird characters. Because there was like a Doc, a Yoshi, a Link, an Ice Climbers, a Pikachu. It was hard
It's
times out there.
literally it's like the Arizona of California. I feel like.
It was back in the day. Who knows? Who knows what's going on there now? But
What's up with these like weird suburb like rural areas with this kind of character jank? Anyway, so Waffles actually told me that he used to play you a lot. So story checks out, and he always said, "You know what? I'm always confident against McCain because I played him so much." Is there any validity to that trash talk?
um, uh, yes and no. He definitely he definitely whooped me a lot in the beginning, and then we were kind of on. I it's really hard to remember the middle days, especially once I was in SoCal, because Waffles wasn't playing as much, so it was kind of that weird like timing. But recently, me and him, I don't know how it got started, but we would just like, you know, smack talk each other all the time. And he ended up winning he went to one of the Power Nines, and he ended up winning the set there. And so that's technically the last time I think we've had like an encounter in any sort of serious serious environment. So technically, he holds the last win and can talk that smack. But you know, next time I'll fuck him up, right?
You have to hold the L.
I'm holding it, but I'm not gonna stop talking my trash.
All right. So you lived in SoCal, and then to me, you really didn't. Don't take this offensively. You really didn't get on the radar until like your SoCal days. So can you tell me a little bit more about that? I know that you went to Irvine. There were a lot of good players. So like, how did you start getting really good?
So I actually quit Smash after high school. When I came down, I went to school at UCI, and I was like, oh, that was a fun high school hobby, but now I'm in college. I'm doing all these college things that you think you're gonna do, and then it turned out I was still, a giant nerd, so I didn't do any of the college things, and ended up getting back into Smash. I went to West Coast Smash League, I think was the tournament, and I was talking to people there, and they told me, "Oh, Zoo goes to UCI. Zoo goes to UCI. I should try to make friends with him. Try to talk to him." And I was a very scared little kid who didn't like talking to people. I was
But
way
it's
too
Zoo.
scared. I was way too scared. I was like, Zoo's too good, and I don't know him, and I'm just I'm trash, and I haven't played in a while, and I was, I didn't really know many people again at the time, just my SunCal people. So I was way too scared to talk to anybody. But eventually, I guess people kind of told Zoo about me, so then he kind of knew about me, right? And it's like, oh yeah, you're going to UCI too, right? That's cool. And I'm like, yeah, dude, UCI freshman, yay! And so kind of started talking to Zoo after that, and I ended up getting in the Cam House crew, which I guess anyone in SoCal would know about the
Yeah,
Cam
yeah,
House.
yeah.
So
Psycho Midget for
Psych-
people that are not familiar.
and back in the day, back when I was like freshman, sophomore in college, it was Psycho Midget, Connor the Kid, Kira, me, Zoo. Mango would be over there half the time. And I'm sure there's probably others. Like I'm not remembering right now, but so there was just there's a giant house of good Smash players who were all playing Smash all the time. So eventually, I got good just by playing all these people so much.
Yeah. For people that don't know, like Cameron, if it wasn't for Cameron and Dunk, I don't think SoCal would have been very good, or at least as good as it is today. They were literally the hub of SoCal.
The Dunk House, that was crazy. Those were
So you started getting good and you started getting wins, but you eventually became the guy that nobody wanted to lose to. You
I
want to
don't was
describe?
that. What do you mean became? I'm pretty sure I was that guy from like day one. I remember showing up to West Coast Smash League, right? And no, especially nobody in NorCal knows me. Nobody remembers me. I hadn't played in like 3, 4, 5 months. Nobody really remembered me from the past anyway. And I ended up in the same pool as Boback, and I beat Boback. And that was to make it out of the pool. So I made it out of the pool in like third seed or whatever. And I just know Boback like went raging, like I lost to some trash Peach player who all he does is down smash, and I don't know anything at the time because I'm just like, oh yeah, I beat somebody. I'm still kind of good at this game, but so I would say it's like been that forever, just because I always seem to have a very stupid style or whatever you want to call it, but I would still beat everybody. So then it kind of became a thing where if you lost to me, I don't know, it was not good.
So like, kind of elaborating on your style. I know like you tell me like you just do things and it works, but like, how do you learn the game and how do you like? Can you tell me a little bit more juicy details other than I don't know, I just do things like you normally tell me.
Well, I mean, yeah, we've had these conversations, but a lot of it, like I said, was just playing with all those people at Cameron's house. There's just a lot of good people with a mix of characters. I'm very much like I think I just kind of osmosis how the game works and how a lot of stuff would go. So I just kind of like by playing a lot, I learned how to do all these things and learned just how Smash works comparatively. And I've always been like a good gamer, so video gaming's always been kind of easy for me.
So would you say like I don't know, do you like bang your head on the wall until like something works, or you bang your head on the wall until like you adjust it a little bit, or you hit your head a little less harder, or
you're not gonna like this answer, but I honestly have no idea, especially back then, what I would do. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, now in the past like year or two, things are a lot different. I'm a lot more attentive to what I'm doing and how to learn. But back then, it was just a lot of playing, and you'd get tips from people here and there. Zoo would mention a thing, Kira would mention a thing, like those things would pop up. I remember once I needed to grind float cancel nairs, so like while I was in SoCal one time, I was like at Chokenator's house, if anyone knows him, and he was eating lunch, so I just decided, I guess this is when I should grind FC nairs right now. So I would just sometimes do things like that, sometimes grind this. When I was practicing nairs out of shield, the part of me was like shield grabbing on purpose, and part of me was trying to do float cancel nair sometimes. So whenever I did a shield grab, they'd be like, "You stop shield grabbing." I'm like, "No, I didn't mean to. I meant to nair out of shield." But half the time I still meant to shield grab. But the little ego inside of you.
Yeah.
So, but I would say like I never felt like I hit a roadblock or anything. I felt like I just kept playing, and by playing, I was always able to get better. I always kind of knew what a problem was, whether it be like the tech skill or just you keep down smashing here, stop that. There'd be things like that, but
So for you, it's like really hard to explain, but like you would just instinctively learn then.
that's back then. All I know is back then I just played the game and then I got better and better, and I like part of like I wanted to get better, so I think I kind of maybe I just don't remember some of the things I did, or a lot of the things I picked up on were super small and they'd slowly like stack on top of each other. As opposed to nowadays when it's like, hey, let's go over this set and look at all of these mistakes that we can totally fix, where it's a completely different vibe from back then.
You mentioned that you're good at other games too, or you're just a natural gamer. So like, what are like some of your other games that like you're like pretty good at for like no apparent reason?
Um, in terms of like multiplayer games like versus, I mean, I got to Diamond in League after like two 2 to 3 years. I forget exactly how long. Of just like, and it was just me playing the game. I didn't like a little bit studying here and there, but I just played the game for a while, and eventually I got good at it.
What
Well,
was your
good.
what was your heroes, or what position did you play?
Um, when I started, because of who all my friends played, I ended up being an ADC, which was like ADC top and mid depending, but a lot of ADC. Then it slowly switched to more top and ADC, and then I went support. I think the first season I got diamond, and then I came back and I played mid the next season. Or yeah, the next season I came back, I played mid and got diamond, and then I quit for like 2 years, and then I came back again recently, played a lot of league, and I was learning top, and I was basically on my way to diamond, but it was really hard to do in a month after not playing the game for 2 years.
Mm, that makes
But
sense.
outside of league, what else? I don't know. Uh,
Yeah, I mean you're grinding that Hearthstone stream
Hearthstone, the
now, right?
Hearthstone grind. I don't have the pay to win though, so it's
You
kind
don't
of
have
hard.
the Skrilla,
I got ranked 13 this last season or
Ooh.
whatever they call it.
And that's free to play, right? Or almost free to play?
Almost free to play. I bought like the 10 pack starter thing for like
Yeah.
$5, whatever. But basically, free
Okay,
to play.
you're practically
Basically, yeah.
free, no pay to win. Um, okay, so like you started playing a lot, and it seemed like it was like a very social experience. Like, did you have anything you want to? Was just going to a tournament kind of like a hobby for you? Like just playing Smash, like you just got to chill with people, or like did you have set goals in mind and what you want to accomplish?
I would say it was mostly the hobby, but it was like I always liked competition. I liked fighting. I played sports a lot growing up too, even if I was never really good at eating. Has always been kind of in my blood. So I think I always like that aspect of it. Of course, when I started, especially back when I started in high school, I never thought I'd get good. Well, or I never thought I'd become like a top player, I should say. I never thought I'd put the time in, and think you grow up and you learn things and you change. So even in school, even in college, I don't think I ever expected myself to be like a top player. But as I was playing in SoCal, I was always like, I can like I kept getting better, and I was like, dude, I can beat these people. I can beat these people. Like they're not that good. So slowly I eventually got up to PR, and every time it was just like, well, these people aren't that hard. Like I guess I can just keep getting better. So that's kind of what happened. It wasn't a goal of mine to like ever be the best, but I just wanted to keep playing and winning, and so I did.
Oh, do I want to bring back salty memories?
Oh, well,
So,
I went to pound 4 and made it to the top 60 bracket or 48 bracket, so that was good. My first out of state tournament. Yeah, that was great.
but prior to you getting
Oh
ranked,
God.
you entered the Arcadian.
Oh no. I already know where this is going, but please continue.
And I think you're one of the heavy favorites to, or like one of the big favorites to win, even though
Mm,
SoCal was like very stacked in its
yes,
Arcadian players.
yes.
But unfortunately, you ran into a certain Jigglypuff, not named Mango, and you can kind of describe the match from here.
So what happened? My John back then, because we still had Johns, was I just played a Kirby player, and Kirby sucks, right? And you can do anything you want to Kirby if he's in shield and you dash attack, you don't get punished hard. So immediately after the Kirby, I go play Boss, the Jigglypuff player, and oh boy, did I was still stuck in my Kirby ways. I wasn't, and because I was like the odds-on favorite, I didn't really respect Boss as much as I should have in the moment, because he's like, oh, I should beat him. I'm better than him. It's not that hard. And then I dash attacked his shield, probably like 7 of my 8 stocks, and died. I think I got rested twice one stock because it was Dreamland, and the first one didn't kill me. That was bad.
So you just kept dash attacking.
Basically, that's how I remember the set. Is I kept dash attacking his shield and then died, and I was like, oh my god, this
Who
is so
ended up
bad.
winning that Arcadian? Was it P? Johnny?
I was gonna say P or S2J. I
I
don't
think it
remember.
was P at the time.
Kind of stopped caring after I lost to Pinoy in losers. That was he Ganon stopped me like above the top platform on Battlefield off the stage, and somehow I didn't meteor cancel it, and I was really pissed off. But then 6 years later, we learned that meteor canceling has like a lockout period and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So then I was like, oh, that's why I fucked it up. Rip.
So, fortunately, even though you should have been ranked, you didn't win your own Arcadian. Tisk tisk.
My own Arcadian, please.
Okay, so you mentioned some success, although your first two major. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. It feels like I'm just roasting you left and right.
Well, my first major was OC3. Thank you very much.
Where we had weird placings and somehow you got 169th.
I actually didn't. I don't know how someone added that to my wiki. I don't know where that came from. That was the funniest thing I ever saw. But I was like, let's go. That's round robin pools for you, right?
Yeah.
With best of or 2 matches. That's some silly stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't even best of three. It was like you played two match, and it was like random stage two, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think so.
Old bizarre formats. Did you Is there anything you missed from like the older day like formats or like rule sets?
Rule sets and stuff, not as much. I like how things have progressed. I mean, the side, it's like, I mean, I could talk about the other aspects, but as far as the tournaments themselves go, nowadays are just infinitely better than back then.
Would you be in Stadium?
Would I ban? I like Stadium, but I don't like Stadium. I think it's a really cool stage, minus all the transformations, right? So,
Yeah,
I don't.
it's. I
What do you
hate.
do?
I hate. I actually have not gotten jinked very often on Stadium. So, you started to travel more. Like, how'd you got 33rd, which is I think pretty good for the time. Pound four was like super stacked. This was in 2009. Did that want you, or 2010 rather? Did that want you coming back for more, or were you like, okay, that's pretty good? Like, what was your reaction from like placing that well?
Um, I was pretty excited with that. I remember. I don't remember who I should probably look up who I beat and lost to, but well, I remember losing to Falchemist in losers. I don't remember who I lost to in winners, but Um, I just remember having a lot of fun. And like for me, a lot of things came down to do I have fun doing it, and if so, I'll continue to do it. Which is why I played Smash so long, and also why I've been like, or why I quit so many times. If you knew my like, I'm sure. Well, you might not know, but there's definitely multiple. I've quit the game multiple times competitively.
I remember vaguely like you would disappear.
There's a few times I just quit the game competitively because it just wasn't fun anymore. Well, that's a story for a little later in my timeline if we're
Yeah,
going if we're
that's
going
a
down the
little
list.
foreshadow, right?
But
Okay,
yeah, yeah. So I would say I had fun, and it was just meeting everybody was fun, being with everyone was cool, and I still love Smash. So I was like, dude, I got to keep going to these, and traveling's cool, right? Especially during college. It's like, oh, we went to. Well, I didn't really care about going to Maryland, but just the whole like experience of it all was really sick.
I just looked up the tournament. You lost to Calmaster in winners, and then
Oh,
Falconist
that's
in
the
losers.
Master. I remember the Falcon set was Game 3, last stock stadium. It was the windmill transformation. I'm on the second water platform, and I'm lying there, and he's Falco below me, and I'm like, oh god, which get up attack or which get up option do I do? And I ended up doing a get up attack, and he dodged it in the back of me, and I died. And I was like, nah!
He knew it was coming. People don't know about Falconist. He used to be like the ninth place legend before you became the ninth place legend.
Oh yeah, that was good
Um,
times.
so in the meantime, how did I think at this time, like, how did the Gay Peach Mafia all start?
Excuse me?
The Gay Peach Mafia.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know, anyone with a Smashboards account can easily look up the comment history of you and a couple of other peaches.
Oh, you mean the Peach Boards?
Yeah.
No, we were I don't know. You know, players bond over their mains, right? And I'd say Peach mains had a little more in common than other people. And so we just kind of became friends, but then we also hated people for the same reason. And those of us who liked each other were the cool kids, and those of us who didn't were the outcasts, I think.
So it's you, DOH, and Alan in your own tier.
Me, DOH, and Alan were like, well, so Zelik actually. It was DOH and Zelik were like the OG, and then me and Alan kind of joined in with that. So then it became. Well, it was me first. I got to know DOH and Zelik first, and then Alan, when they came to the West Coast, when Alan started traveling, me, DOH, and Alan clicked, and so we kind of became a thing. We call ourselves. Never mind. That's not important.
All right,
But
that's fine.
so we kind of clicked, and then Vans came along, and Vans was super awesome, and we loved Connor. Once he started playing Peach, I guess you could say.
So you guys took him in.
We took him in. I don't know. It's just Peach mains know how to have fun, and we love to all be like sassy little jackasses. So we just kind of became bonding, or we kind of
And
bonded.
Bladewise was his own like island.
Bladewise is he was like we didn't dislike him, but he just didn't like fit in with us.
Yeah, he was like the homie that you just like saw, like, hey, what's up? And you'd be like, hey, what's up? And then you guys would kind of just walk past each other, right?
Always in his Peach shirt though. He always had like some Peach paraphernalia. It was like, you
Um,
should be with us, but you're not. Oh well.
so in terms of Peach color tiers, if somebody played Daisy, what would happen?
Oh, I can't say. I used to call her ugly esports.
You
Censor
guys
the.
can fill in the blank on what he
I
means
don't think
by
they would. No, I don't think they would know those two words. But and it's kind of disrespectful and stuff. And we've grown up and we've learned, and we don't say things like that anymore. I kind of. You could search Smashboards, you'd find out what we used to call her. But basically, anyone who played Daisy was like excommunicated from the Peach boards, and we wouldn't help you or talk to you or associate with you or anything.
Isn't that like color racism?
She's a different person. I don't know what you want.
I'm just messing with you.
Just
So anyway, um, so you start, pound five happens. I always get the or pound four happens. I always get the majors mixed up because I always forget that Apex, like some of the earlier Apexes were not in the winter, but they were like in the summer. So like my timelines always get messed up. So you start
yeah.
going to like other events, you start getting like ninth place at these events. Like what are you making of like you're not hitting the money, you're not hitting top eights, although even in top eight you don't make that much money, if at all. Like what are you making of these like gradual improvements?
I gotta look up which tournaments we're talking about here.
Okay, well I'm also cheating.
I just started cheating too. I went to my wiki. Don't worry, it's fine.
All right, I mean you got ninth at Revival Melee, ninth at Don't Go Down There Jeff, ninth at Genesis 2, which not too many people know about, ninth at Apex 2012. For
I
whatever
gotta get.
reason, you got 65th at Apex 2013, but we won't talk about that.
Wait, why? That one's fine. That's after I quit the game.
Oh yeah,
I had quit the game for a year at that point. I played 3 days prior to Apex, um, and wanted to go and figured why not enter it because I'm doing it, and I did. I lost to Chillin' and Leffen, I guess. Sadness, but oh my! I could have had a tournament win over Leffen. I would have. That's other stories if I was playing well. But so I'm getting. Oh yeah, so I'm getting all these nice places. I think when it first started happening, I didn't think much of it. Like, oh, I'm getting better, I'm getting better. And then when it kept happening, I started to get slightly tilted. Like the Genesis one, I lost to Taj, which I think I could have beat Taj. I could that could have been me and Mango in winners quarters or whatever, or winner semis. Was that winner semis? Oh my god, that could. What if that were me and Mango in winners? Like, what? There's so many of those stories that I could tell you. I think most of these ninth places who I could have, should have beat, and like how the world would be a different place if I wasn't the ninth place master. And I lost to Johnny. I think that's when the reign of Johnny started on me. Was that Apex? Me and Johnny were going back and forth, and then I think he kind of destroyed me or not Apex, the Genesis, and then after that, I think it was over. It was done for.
Is he the person in locals that has like the highest like win loss rate ratio on you?
Oh, it has to be. It has to. Johnny was un, undefeated against me for like 2 years after I came back. Once SSS started up, basically, Johnny was like undefeated against me. I finally beat him in an SSS after like a year and a half, 2 years, and I was like, oh my god, I did it. And then grand finals, he 6-0s me swiftly, and I'm just so like demoralized and unsure of what's going on that like I just sank down in my chair and like lied on the ground, put my bag over my face, and stayed there for like 5 minutes. I was like, what is going on? Like, it was bad. And I actually expected Mono to get the camera on me because he'd always get the camera on people when they were doing that stuff, and he didn't. So that moment of history was actually never never documented, but it happened.
It was for your own good, man.
I don't know, that would have been really funny to just have on the internet, like the fiction in the chair or whatever. Like, I don't know, things like that are just, I find them funny because it's like we all understand what's going on, so it's just a funny moment to have caught. But anyway.
So, I mean, I guess I have to kind of ask. You briefly mentioned it. 2013, you were just not having fun,
So
or is this your League
it
of
actually,
Legends days?
well, I started League in 2011, but that wasn't 2010, 2011. I was a junior and then I moved in, so that'd be 2011. Anyway, I don't know. I was going to tournaments, and so 2011, summer of 2011, that was the Genesis. Uh, huh. Yeah. So I went to that Genesis, and I don't know. Everything was fine, but then slowly, I don't know. I guess things started to just kind of get worse, and then and I did start playing a lot of League, which I'm sure had an impact, but wasn't the reason. I ended up traveling to the East Coast, to visit my sister. That my parents like paid for a trip to visit my sister, but they knew I had friends out there, so they said, you can book tickets however you want, and we'll cover them. So I started in New York, explored New York, and actually stayed with old Apex TO, and then I went to hang out with Milk Tea for a little bit, and then Dark Dragoon, and that's when me and him first met in person, and he's like became one of my best friends through Smash, so that was cool. We met through League, and then we met in person because of this trip, which was super awesome. And then I went to two locals. I went to one in New York, and I went to one in Massachusetts. And the one in New York, I got really frustrated during it. I don't know, some tech skill things were happening. I think I lost to Tech Zero, and he's fine loss, like not a big deal. He was a good player, but I felt like I could have, should have won. And I like got so angry that I really just wanted to chuck my controller across the venue. And that was the first time I'd ever been that angry or that upset that I wanted to actually chuck my controller. So I was like, whoa, something's kind of not right. And I was like, maybe it's just because I'm on this vacation, this trip, and it's like the pressure of wanting to do well, out of state or whatever. So I didn't think much of it. But then when I went to the Massachusetts tournament, something very similar happened where I think I was like one of the odds-on favorite to win outside of maybe if I dodged Dark, I would be the odds-on favorite to win. But if I had to play Dark, it was like a toss-up. And I ended up losing. I forgot who I lost to in winners, and I lost to Doswa in losers. He counterpicked me like Young Link on Rainbow Cruise. And under normal circumstances, that'd not be a problem. But for some reason, I just like ended up losing to that one too. And I just kind of like, as the set was going on, I just stopped caring. And I realized afterwards that I was just like really fed up with this, and I was just like, man, this is not good. Like I don't know, I just don't want to play right now. So again, I kind of chalked it up to being on the trip, and then I ended up when I went to Boston to visit my sister, I stayed with Mafia for a couple days, and the kind of the deal was he'd house me and we'd just play some melee, but I literally could not play melee. I could not bring myself to play melee. Um, the first day he kind of understood. The second day he's kind of like, "Yo, man," like, and I was like, "Okay, okay, sure." So I played with him for like 20 minutes, and I was literally just going through the motions. Nothing was happening. Nothing was going on. So I felt really bad too because I'm like, "You're putting me up," and the whole plan was to play, but I just, I mentally cannot do this right now. And then I came back home from that trip and immediately moved in with Zoo. So me and Zoo were living together our senior year of college. I think we played Melee twice that year together. Once before a big tournament and once when I was like, I don't know, some other time. But basically, I lived with Zoo for 9 months and we played Melee twice because I was just that over. I was that over Melee. So I didn't touch Melee until basically the Evo stuff. And I almost didn't even go to that Evo. So that was that's basically 2 years, right? Little less than 2 years.
Yeah. Do you
I went
think?
to.
Go
Oh,
ahead. Keep going.
I was gonna say I went to the majors, right? So I went to the Apexes and Kings of Cali. Kings of Cali because they're in SoCal, and Apex because it was like the only national at the time. And so that's kind of where that Apex ranking comes from because I hadn't been playing for like a year and a half. And then I was actually surprised at Apex 2012 when I got ninth. I could have beat Hacks. Oh, I suicided. Oh. Me and Hacks had like the secret rivalry that like no one knew about.
Did you,
I think
what was like the win-loss record? Because I know
I
you
don't.
mostly.
I think it was I would beat him in winners all the time, and he would beat me in losers all the time. But I don't know the actual record. You'd have to. That's some Tafo stats that would have to, come out. Somebody posted about it somewhere once. It was actually kind of close. It was funny. But anyway, yeah. So that's when I quit Melee and came back because of Evo in the dock. Even though I almost didn't go to Evo, I decided I decided the week before Evo to go, and that was only because it was drivable from SoCal.
And I'm guessing you drove.
Oh, of course. I think I drove. I don't know who I drove to the first one, but you know.
So who's the person that owes you the most gas money over the years for all your driving? Who should
Mm,
foot your maintenance bill on your car?
Connor, probably Connor.
Hmm.
I don't know if he paid me gas or not, but so when I worked at Jamba Juice, I worked Saturday and Sunday morning shifts. So he would get dropped off at my store Saturday morning by his parents, and I would drive him to the tournament. Like every Saturday, there was a tournament in SoCal, and his parents came to know me as Jamba Juice guy.
That's so funny.
So yeah.
Okay, well, so SoCal's booming. We have SSS, and we have all these events coming. Did you ever think, was like when you saw that like the documentary was happening and all this stuff was happening? Did you ever decide like I should take this more seriously because it looks like it might be going somewhere, or did you just kind of maintain your course of like real world responsibilities?
So after I went to Evo and I had tons of fun there, and I was like, oh yeah, Smash is fun. I still kind of like Smash. I should get back into it because I was, oh god, when was that? 2013. So I had been graduated for a year at this time. So I'd been kind of working on and off different jobs, and it was just I needed fun back in my life, and Smash was always fun. I like Smash. I like Smashers. So Evo kind of reminded me of that, and so I just got back into it for the fun again, not because it was growing. Well, that probably helped. That probably helped the enjoyment since it did seem like it was dying after I quit too. But I'm also not too certain of what was going on in SoCal those 2 years. Yeah, apparently Crimson Blur became a big name, and I had no idea who the hell that was. And I was like, how does this fucker talk to Alex Valle and doesn't know anything is now hosting like the tournament series in SoCal? I was like, this guy is so lucky he got to him first because I tried to reach out and was gonna talk to him, but this guy named Crimson Blur did it first. I was like, all right, whoever this guy is, I guess, whatever.
And then you guys became best friends.
Yeah, best friends. That's what it was. I love Blur, but oh man, the stories I could tell that I won't tell
Can we get
because
a sneak PG version?
everyone knows Blur sucked at running SSS. That's not a secret. And if it is, I'm sorry, East Coast and anyone else. It's what
But
was 12 o'clock. Okay, the event page said, "Oh, double starts at 12. Blur would show up at 1. Teams would start at 1:30. Tournament, what the schedule says end at 10. If we ended by like 12:30, we were lucky, and we always had to go to In and Out because it was the only thing open whenever SSS ended. Good times. I mean, I loved SS. Like I loved being there, but God, that tournament did not run well.
Hey, I had work at like 6:30 the next morning
I started to do that. Once I got one of my jobs, I had work at 7:30, and I would stay until the end. And I was like, this
because
is
you would actually make it to winners and losers finals.
sometimes. Sometimes I didn't, but I would still stay, and I'd go to In and Out after anyway. I'm just like, I'm committed to being an idiot. I'll just do it. That's when I learned what caffeine. That's when I learned why people drink caffeine. I was like, oh, this is what caffeine does when you don't sleep. This is amazing. That's why people do this.
You're ridiculous.
Um,
Oh man, remember that? I think there's this like one tournament where Blur didn't wake up in time, like until like, and then he ended up coming to the venue at 2 for his own tournament, and he told everyone they needed to be on time.
I that sounds familiar. I don't remember it specifically because there were so many ridiculous stories, but yeah.
So like you quit league because it's probably not fun, or
Um,
you slowed down the league.
I slowed down the league. So basically, what would happen is I'd get a job and I'd slowly have less time for league. And especially once I was playing melee again, I didn't really want to play league. And then I'd get unemployed because I was working a lot of contracted positions. And then I'd have a lot of free time again, so I picked up league. And then I get a new job, so I'd stop league. And then it just became a cycle
Okay.
until I eventually went farther into Smash and decided not to play league much at all.
So like at this point, like SSSs are happening like every other week. It seems like with you, SCJ Lucky, Westball's Fiction, and a slice of mango, you guys were like your own tier, like the top 5 or whatever. But all that aside, at what point did you move into the gamer house, and why did you decide on doing that?
Oh man, moving into this house. So this was late summer of 2014, 2 years after I graduated. Yeah, so 2014.
And were you
So
on Curse by then, or what?
I
You were
might,
on Curse.
I think I was, but I might have quit by then again.
Hmm.
Let's see. It's in my wiki. August
August
21st.
21st.
Yeah. I think I had quit. I had quit before I moved. I think I moved in September if I remember right. Not so yeah, I was on and off course. So I had made a lot of esports friends and whatever. I got to know people. Um, Basically the last job I was working was at a mortgage company, and it the how do I put this? I didn't mind the stuff I was doing in terms of like work, but all of the like the because I was working with like a bank and loans and yeah, because I was working basically with loans and like mortgages and banks and stuff, I was just not enjoying myself. The culture was too dry. Um, Trying to get behind my work and trying to get into it didn't work because I was working on half the things I was working on were foreclosed loans. So it's like, oh look, Betty and Bob lost their house and they couldn't afford to pay this $300,000 on it. So blah blah blah. And I'm like, this is depressing to try to like get behind. Whereas once I worked at like a home builder which bought homes, and it was like, hey, these people are buying this house. That's great. So it was funny to go from like people buying homes to people can't afford their homes. I was like, well, this is depressing and ironic probably. But it wasn't like my manager wasn't completely. She said I was like a great worker, but I wasn't really getting into the work, and I was like, well, you're not wrong. I don't really care about this. And she was really like trying to help me work through it because I was still I was a attempt to hire, and she's like, we can have. I'll give you another month, and then she gave me a month, and it's like we can have like weekly or biweekly meetings to make sure you're doing this stuff, and I'm like, at that point I was like, look, I just want to hear what you had to say, but I'm actually just gonna quit because I just can't do this anymore. And I was fed up with Irvine. Irvine had become very toxic to me. Um, ooh, not to name names, but I had friends who were like m- multiple years of community college, like 4 or 5 years of community college. I had people who were quitting college and trying to go pro and like living, and these people were living off their parents. Connor at the time was just starting college, or like a year or two into college, and was very like overwhelmed with college. And so it's just a lot of people who weren't working professionals while I'm trying to be a working professional. So it really dragged me down and made me be like, well, these people don't need to work. Why do I need to work? Like, why should I be trying to move forward with my career and my life? So it became a very toxic environment. And I decided that I was actually just going to move to NorCal. I was going to find a job in the Bay Area and just move there because I had always loved the NorCal people. Like you mentioned Alan earlier, I loved Alan. Whoever, I don't know, well, all the people who were up there. I needed to change it
Oh no.
all the way. Whoa. Oh,
You
why
kind of
not?
froze for a bit.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back now. But I figured why not make a big change of pace and just move to NorCal because, like, why not? Because I can, and it's something I've thought about doing, so I wanted to do it. And in the process of doing that, um, I had I had reconnected with Sky because we were friends from NorCal and stuff, but we
Yeah.
didn't really hang out. I didn't realize he lived in SoCal, and then I went to their house a couple times, and he was just like, "Oh, you should just move in." And I was like, I mean, and I was like, so I'm going through this whole process while he's telling me that, and I'm like, I could just move in. I could move in for a couple months. Rent would be like a couple $100 instead of 600-700. So I'll save money. I'll have some fun. It's nice to take a break, and I can still look for jobs. Right? You can look for jobs anywhere. So I decided to go ahead and do that. But I think deep down in the back of my head, I knew I wasn't gonna look for jobs and move to NorCal after I moved into this house. I think I knew I needed a change of pace and a break, and this house would probably be it. So I ended up moving into the Sky House because of all that, and I stayed there for 2 years, and it was a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and also really bad. But
Wanna well, like how so? In both ways. Maybe you could share like one story of how it was, or like go into a little bit more like elaboration about like why you felt like it was good and why it wasn't so good.
uh,
You don't have to like go into
right,
ultra
right,
specifics if you don't
right.
want to.
I mean, so I'll just like the. It was just a really, really fun place to live. There ended up being 20 of us at the most. Uh,
How many bed? Do you have to give context to it? Because I don't feel
so
like people who are
okay. Oh yeah,
unfamiliar.
yeah. So the first house we lived in was a. It was like a 3 bedroom and a. It was, I guess, well, it was technically a 3 bedroom, and then we turned the den into a fourth bedroom. Um, one room was like the master size, and it had 2 bunk beds and a queen size bed. We were My room was like a normal sized room, and we had 2 bunk beds, and that was basically all that could fit in that room. The den had 2 bunk beds, uh, like 2 desks for workstations, and a queen size bed. And this other like bedroom that was super tiny, basically could only fit 1 bunk bed, and so that's kind of how everyone ended up fitting in that house. There's in the living room slash I don't even know what you would call it. The giant open areas. There was probably about 12 to 13 desks for everybody,
Oh my gosh.
and then, there's like a TV and a couch. Like, and that house was very open. Like the middle was just you could kind of see everybody. If you were in the living room or anywhere around it, you would just see everybody. And no one, only a couple people were in their bedroom. So like it was cramped. We were all together, but it it was really fun. Like there was a lot of fun to be had. People were being silly. I don't know, just I'm very much a people person, so I enjoy just having people around all the time to a point when we were doing fun things. But then also I thought moving into that house was a very big change of pace in the sense that a lot of people living there, it was their first time away from home, and so they did not know how to like have basic respect for areas.
So they
So
would clean up after themselves. They always did the dishes. No soda or fast food bags were lying around, and
yeah, so basically the kitchen was a mess. People wouldn't take out the trash. The 2 bathrooms in that, there was only 2 bathrooms in that house, and they were disgusting. Like, oh, it was actually when Brandon Whitehurst moved in. He cleaned one of the bathrooms every day because he's like, I can't use this bathroom; it's dirty. So he cleaned it every morning before he used it. So we actually had a clean bathroom once Brandon moved in. It was really funny. Um, but so it's just like that's the living situation, and that was a lot of the bad. Was just people are dumb. People are lazy. A lot of people didn't exactly make money very well. So there was always the threat of like, oh no, are you going to be able to pay rent this month? And it's just, it's just a whole drama and hassle. And like one of my favorite things is Sky. Sky was just so funny. Like he'd always brighten up everyone's day, which is I think one of the best. Maybe that's one of the things I miss the most. Is Sky was just so funny.
Well, it's like
That
an example of him like going up and like boosting morale.
he just literally cracks jokes all the time. He'd walk around with his jam box, and sometimes it'd get annoying because he would just play loud music, and it's like, dude, like I get that you're kind of like the head of the household, but I don't need to hear your music through my headphones too. Like that's just ridiculous. But he would just be cracking jokes and making fun of people, and I don't know. He's a real comedian, and he's really funny, and he just lives that. So the house would be really funny because of that.
And at one point, Muta King lived there, right? So did you get to play with him a lot?
So Muta King lived there when I first moved in, and he was almost never home. I think he was home like 2 of the weeks that I lived there before he moved out, maybe. And then Smash 4 came out around that time too on the Japanese Wii's or 3DS's or whatever it was. So the house got a bunch of Smash 4 setups that way. And so we didn't he was only playing Smash 4 at the time basically because he really wanted to go into it because it was the new game. So he wasn't playing much Melee.
But out of everybody in that house, you're the one that qualified for the Nintendo event.
Oh my god. Sky was so upset. That was so funny.
You out of all people, not Jace Muta King. God. Yeah, people forget that you were in that. I guess people.
I don't know. I was the original Greninja. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, so this is like so that summer was like very interesting, right? Because we were starting to get invited to events, and like the running phrase was like "we esports now," right? That was like the running joke of like the E3 and all these events and going to these parties. So, um, did you think like you were going to be a full-time player from this? Because I know that you mentioned that you didn't feel your job and you were transitioning. So like, did you feel like this was going to be something you'd be doing for at least like the next like 5 years?
Oh, 5 years. God, that's a long time. Not in the moment. I don't even think one thing I could never tell you what I'd be doing in 2 years, let alone 5 for any point of my
Or like
life.
tomorrow?
I can guarantee you I had good ideas what I was doing the next day, but multiple years down the line, I very much am just go with the flow. Like most of my jobs post college were literally through one recruiting company, and then they stopped finding me work, and then I was just unemployed for 3 months, and then I got a random call from a recruiter out in Georgia who had a person out in Irvine who were like, "Hey, we need to staff this." I'm like, "Okay," and then I got the job, and then that ended quickly because of stuff that went down at the company, and then I was unemployed again for 3 months. Like, well, I need to find a job somehow, and then I got a random call from the mortgage company, and it was through them and not any other company. And they're like, "Hey, we found your resume." I was like, "Okay, cool." And I went in and got the job, and I was like, "Well, this worked out." So I very much don't do well when it comes to certain parts. So yeah, at the time I moved into the house, like I said, I think in theory I was gonna look for jobs, but after being there for a couple weeks, I was just like, I'm just gonna live here for a while. Screw it. Like I think I had 15K in the bank at the time.
And rent was
So
like $200.
rent was about 300, and I was hosting Mayhem. So between Mayhem and locals, I was easily able to cover uh, rent, food, and whatever. And dipping into my 15K was like, oh, I had to spend an extra $100 this month. Oh no, I only have $14,900 left for my life. So it was never really a big deal. Um, And then I eventually I started streaming a lot more. I was like the morning streamer for a while. I had like 110 viewers. Man, my streams, okay, this is like feeling myself a little bit and a little pissed off about how life went. I was going to be one of the first person no, I was going to be the first personal Smash streamer who had 1,000 followers on Twitch back in I still lived at my old house, like 2013. But then I got partnered with Curse as their player manager, which was a super sick opportunity that I couldn't turn down. And then they're like, "Hey, yeah, you have to stream on Azubu and do all this stuff too." And I'm like, "This is bull." But I went along with it because it's like you know in that moment, especially when Smash is just becoming esports, you can't turn that opportunity down, right? So
Yeah.
thank you,
And you
Hungry
have to
Box and
become
Prague.
Hungry Box's slave along the way too.
Oh, that the MLG story, I could tell that one, but I think it was Hungrybox and Prague who kind of got me that job, so that was really nice of him to suggest me.
Mm.
Though he also kind of was like, "Well, who else would you suggest? It's like a competent member of the Smash community who like knows what's going on." And I'm like, "Well, okay, yeah, I don't." Who wasn't already busy with like other jobs and stuff, right? And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't. Okay, that makes a lot more sense." But
You fit the bill.
I definitely fit the bill. So anyway, yeah. So I was streaming, and then I went to Azubu, and then I think somebody else got the first 1,000 followers, and I was really pissed off. And then my stream like died, and then I started streaming again. It got big, and then I stopped streaming. It died. You know how streaming goes, right? You stop streaming, and it dies, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm a has-been.
we're all has-beens when it comes
We're all
to.
has-beens. We're all washed up.
But so yeah, so I had some streaming money then, the mayhem money. I had tournament money, and I was eventually after being there for about a year. So like the second year, after we switched houses, I ended up getting in talks with Splice, who was Follow Esports at the time.
Follow
And then
esports.
once that happened, that was very easy to pay rent because then I'm like, I got a real team to be on, yay! I don't know if there's any in between though you want to do before I skip
Nah.
ahead to that.
So, I mean, you're rolling in. Like at that point, what were you thinking about Melee? Because
When
now, like, you're actually kind of making decent money.
even before that, I was really gung ho. I became really gung ho kind of partway through the Sky House, through the first year there. Things were just great and going, and I was having fun, and like I was having enough success that I was happy. And then yeah, that happens. I was so caught off guard. Because at the time I got approached at SmashCon, the first SmashCon, and there were other players at that time who were definitely better than me. Because that was the year I got ranked top 15, right? 2015, yeah. That's when I was ranked 15 after that year. So I was I was on the come up. I was doing well, but there were definitely other people who I thought like deserved it more than I did. So when Marty approached me at SmashCon, I was like, "Whoa, like me? No. I mean, yes, thank you so much, and I'm great, and I would love to talk to you further about this, but what the fuck, why me?" And he actually told me like I was his first choice, like because he wanted two players. He's like, "You're our number one choice, and our number two. You know, we're kind of deciding on who we want besides that, but you're our number one." And I was like, "Oh." So that was great. I was really happy about that.
Uh,
Um,
that was a sweet gig. I liked you guys in the black and yellow before Hugo and Lucky became the new black and yellow
they
team.
became, oh god, black and yellow, black and
Black and
yellow.
yellow, black and yellow.
I'm sorry, everybody who asked. Oh god, Tafo, no, please. Why? Anyway, I'm sorry for that, people. But
I don't
um,
apologize.
I do. Well, actually, we were blue and black first, or silver and black and silver. I don't know whatever. Follow esports. That name was so trash. We told Marty, we're like, dude, you need to. This is not a team name. They had cool ideas behind it all, but that was you know how when you're like starting something new and you're like, I've got all these cool ideas that sound cool, and then
You look back and you're like, what was I thinking?
it was like the ideas were cool, like what you were going with, but I can't believe you actually settled to follow up with this. It's like, oh, this is a cool idea that's never gonna, actually work out and whatever. But not the point.
So,
Anyway,
at this point, like you have like an up and down year in like 2015 and 2016. Although
well, 2015 was up, only up, right? And
yeah,
that's what I'm
2015
thinking.
was a good year.
2015, 2016 started off so strong. Ooh.
Hey, you ended strong too. You got seventh at Shine.
I actually can't believe that was the most random thing. I was like going through that year, like dropping out of tournaments, not knowing what to do, having so many different things going on in my life, and then like Shine, I'm just like, oh, I beat S2J. All right, that's random. Oh, I'm going to game 5 with Axe. Nah!
Yeah.
That's my story. Is how many game 5s did
Sad face. So, you're starting to go through your like confusing times, and in 2017, it really kind of felt like
I was just
Like,
going through the motions.
yeah. So like, how did that? Why do you think that happened?
So I mean, 2016 was definitely just the hardest year of my life. And I know like years kind of arbitrary, but
Like that period of time in general.
the way it worked was, well, I guess it was a couple months, starting like a couple months into 2016 until about what was it, not landlocked, full bloom. It was like almost a year. It was really crazy, like almost exactly a year. Where's full bloom? Yeah, March. It was like almost basically a year of time before I like when things started to go rocky before I realized everything again. And
Now you don't have to go through the whole laundry list, but like,
I,
what were some things that were just like kind of bringing you down?
I mean, there was just some stressful situations. There was the like that was the tail end of when I was at the Sky House, and it had become too much for me. I needed as much fun as I was having. It became too much of a pain. I couldn't focus on work. I couldn't like really practice well. There was always noise and stupidity, which I think most
Drama.
people can
Yeah.
agree with. Drama, like there was just things going on. It just wasn't a house for me anymore. As somebody who was trying to be really productive and progressive in his life, I didn't fit in there anymore. So that was really stressful. Um, oh God. I guess love life things happened,
Yeah.
and
That's fair.
that was really hard to deal with. And then just getting burnt out on top of that. So it's like I go through all this, I think I'm good, and then I did my month and a half trip where I went smashing no what the charity event smashed the record to Germany. Stayed in Germany for about a week and a half to DreamHack winter. Stayed in Sweden for about a week. Then went to Chicago and stayed there for about 2 weeks for UGC in Eden. So I was gone from my house for about a month and a half, like 6 weeks or so. And I was by the time DreamHack hit, I was over it. I went through that phase of like I really don't want to play anymore. I don't want to be here, but since I'm here, I might as well enter. And then I lost to Triff and Over, and I was like, ha, expected, because I don't even really care right now. And then same thing kind of happened at UGC. Like, did I beat Drug Fox at UGC? That was so weird if I did. I don't know where it is, but if I did, I was just not feeling like I half almost lost to Vro, and I was like, man, I'm just not like, I just don't care. And then Eden, same thing, I just didn't care, and I did well enough, right? I think my not caring was always good enough to get me to make me not seem bad at the time, but not good enough to actually beat anybody.
Yeah. So like this year, like especially, it's just to me from the outside, it doesn't seem like you're very motivated. Um, oh God, you got outplaced by Crunch
Win.
at DreamHack.
Oh yeah. That DreamHack was not good.
Um, so it seems like you had that previous stretch in like 2013 where your performances slid, but that's because you mentioned you didn't really care for the game and you're slowly getting back in. Um, do you see yourself really coming back like full force as a competitor?
So basically, what happened was, right. So I was fighting that a long time at 2016, early 2017, and full bloom. It was kind of when my Splice contract was supposed to be up, and it was kind of like I had to make a decision. And I was telling Marty, like, no, I still want to keep trying that, like, I don't know, I want to do this, like, I don't want to stop. So I went to full bloom, and I was like, yeah, like, I want to keep doing this. I don't want to stop competing here. So we renewed my contract, and I kept trying, but things just never fully clicked again. It was one of those. Right, I think most of my tournaments in 2017 were mostly misses. It was like okay or a miss. I could just never really get back into the swing of things. I just never. The desires weren't there. I was too focused. Like it took me a while to refine the fun in the game because for too much of the 2016 and early 2017 I was like, man, remember at Five Gods when I was like gung-ho and really good and like I was super excited about Smash? Like, that's why am I not like that anymore? I need to do that. So it's like I always kept trying to go back to that, But the biggest problem is life happens, and you can't just go back. You can't just become a person you used to be. Like so much happened to me over the course of like the year, um, and like all the stress. Like that's actually when I learned what stress was. I never all these people stress for tests and all these things, and I'm like I don't get it. Like why? How do people just stress all the time? And then that year, I now stress about everything, and I'm like, damn, this sucks. Like how do people live with this their whole life and through school? So
I mean,
anyway, oh
oh, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say that. So basically, I was fighting that a lot, and what I realized is that I need to find a new joy in Smash. I need to figure out like how to re-love the game again at this point. And that's when I played a lot of Falco. I think I after Genesis, I like literally did not touch Peach until 3 days before Full Bloom or something. So there was a lot of that going on. A lot of like trying because I just needed, and it was fun to relearn things as Falco. Except I hated tech skill, but then I kind of grinded tech skill, and it was really weird. But I
Um,
don't know.
how much do you think like some of your losses were just because of stress and not caring, and like how much do you think it was just like the field getting a lot better? Like when
Um,
you got like upset or would have these kind of more unusual losses or not being able to perform like your 2015, early 2016 level.
I mean, I like my CEO loss in 2016 to Linguini was like I literally I wanted to drop out of the tournament before I went. I even had a conversation with Marty like, look, I really don't want to play in this tournament. He's like, well, I don't, if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but I don't want you to like regret not entering or not trying. And I was like, I guess. So like I went to enter the tournament. And I should have known better. Like regret entering. It's like one tournament, right? There's Smash tournaments every other week. Like who cares about this one? But I was like, well, I'll try it out. And like I go to my pool, and before my first match, I'm like, I don't want to play. I don't want to play. I don't want to play. And then I felt bad because I four stocked the kid. Game one, I'm like, I don't even want to play, but I destroyed you. I was like, fine, I'll just go through my round one pool, probably beat everybody, and then just not show up to day two. Which I like this whole time, right? I don't want to play, so why am I wasting my time playing? And then I get to Linguini, and it was like I don't want to play, but I'm forcing myself to play, and he's a good enough player with a character that can like take advantage of my like just not caringness. And then that's why after I lost to him, I was just like, I really just don't want to be here, so I just left because I was like, that's right. I just need to do what's best for me, right? So it was like a lot of there's definitely some losses like that, or there's losses where it's like I'm trying and it feels like I'm trying, but it's just not clicking. So I just think my like brain wasn't in it that day, even though I wanted to play.
Hmm.
But there are other things like people are getting better, and people can just beat you up now and combo you and kill you a lot more than they used to be able to. Which I think it's kind of like a little bit of both, right?
Yeah,
People punch a little harder, and if my brain just doesn't care, or if I'm just playing slightly off, like it's a lot easier for these people to take advantage of all that.
that's fair. Do I bring up SmashCon?
Which one was SmashCon? I mean, SmashCon is the next one I was thinking of, and that's one of those weird ones where it's like I'm trying, and it felt like I was trying, but it just wasn't working for me. Like I honestly should have lost to Jamook, or whatever his however you say his tag, that Sheik player. I swear, we're like last game, last hit. He back airs me on Battlefield at like 120, and I'm like below the ledge. He back airs me, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be game. And then I just DI'd it perfectly, or I V canceled it, or whatever. I don't know what I did. Right? I did some baloney crap, and I was like, if I get back to the stage, I have a feeling I'm gonna win. And then I got back to the stage, and I was like, and then I ended up winning, and he was like so demoralized, and all his friends were like, it was really funny, but really depressing, because I was like, dude, like, I don't even think I should have won. I don't know how I lived. I don't know what's going on, but good games. And
Yeah, I
then,
remember seeing that because there's like a crowd around you.
hi, and then I played the Puff, and the Puff was just, I mean, Atmos was a good enough player, right? And I was really close, and then his like last call out of me, I remember was really good. The way he like, because we were Dreamland top platform, I'm like trying to dodge his up airs and stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I'll do this tricky thing, but he like jumped and up aired me in like a weird way, or like he basically read what I was gonna do, and I'm like, ooh, all right, you got me. Like,
So
good
you got
job.
Shadow Realm.
I mean, I wouldn't say Shadow Realm. He like, I don't know, just like last stock, last game count as Shadow Realming someone.
Or like
Oh.
the read was so good.
I mean, the read, I don't know. It wasn't like the craziest read I've ever seen. It was just, a solid read. Whatever. Not the point. The point is, So that was one of those tournaments where I was trying, but it just didn't come together. I don't know. You know me, I'm too confident, I'm too cocky in myself. I'm like, oh, whatever, these people suck, and I just go full idiot mode,
You
and
go full dads.
it works a lot of the time. I swear, it still does. But as far as the future goes, eh, like I don't know. I want to keep going to tournaments, but right now I just don't care enough to compete. Like that's why I dropped out of Genesis. I don't know. I didn't mind playing, but it doubles is always fun. So I love doubles, but the I guess it's the like pressure of singles and the even though I don't know, I don't really feel the pressure necessarily, but it's like the overarching pressure that's just there, and I don't want to deal with like the fallback, right? Like I was always joking with you about being ranked, right? And I'm like, please, don't rank me. Like just take me off the rankings. Like don't do it. Like guys, how much do I have to pay all the panelists to just not put me on, right?
Yeah.
Lots of jokes like that, which I mean, mostly jokes, but they come from a place of like reality because it's I don't exactly think that my 2017 was anything great, and it's not something I want to be like because I feel like all these other people who are trying to get ranked for the most part, minus like 3 or 4. I guess there's a couple like me, right, who are just kind of playing the game and they're like, well, I got ranked because I'm just kind of good enough. Whereas I was like, this is like embarrassing. This is not something I want to. I don't want to say not that I don't want to remember, but I just don't want it to be out there like, hey man, look how quote unquote good you did. And it's like this isn't good. This is bad, and maybe that's part of the reason is it's just like I don't know. It's not up to par.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't care if it was me trying as hard as I could and knowing everything was fine. But because it's just been a rough time, it's like, well, how about we just erase this rough time from the internet? But oh wait, you can't because it's the internet. That's the price to pay to being someone.
On the
Uh,
internet.
well, yeah, I was gonna say someone of relative importance within a micro circle, right?
Image. Yeah. It's fair.
Which I very much enjoy everything Smash has brought me. I very much enjoyed like the celebrityism. I liked that people cared about me and like were inspired by me and had my back and like just wanted to see me do well. Like a lot of that was really cool and awesome, and that's one of the things I don't want to leave behind, but I can't really keep with me if I'm not doing well or I don't have some other way to put it out in the scene, right?
Yeah.
So
If you
I,
never played singles again, would you be okay with that?
I mean, at this point in time, sure, but I think the reality of it is, it's like, I don't think that's a thing. Like I said, I've quit this game multiple times, and this is kind of one of those. This is one of those downtrodden times. But each time I quit, I kind of learn how to deal with it better. And it's like this time, I'm not even like quitting the game, right? I like still enter doubles, and I'm still having fun. I think I need to get myself in order in life, and like refine some happiness and fill some of the holes that have kind of been made like
The
within
void.
the void, I guess. Sure. Oh, I love void. Void's so great. um but find just refine the happiness in other aspects of my life so that I can go back to Smash and be like, yeah dude, this is why I play this game and this is why I like this game. Because part of me doesn't want to give up like the competing. I still like want to keep up and try to fight the top talent. And I guess everyone kind of feels this, but if I kept going and I practiced, I'm sure I would easily be competing with all these top 20 players, no problem. But then I don't want to practice, so it's always the problem.
I feel like that's like the case with like the PC curses and stuff. Like they kind of want to come back because they like do decently well against like other decent top players, and then you realize like how much work it takes to get back, and then they kind of like slip back into their shell.
Well, luckily I play an easy character, right? So it's not that much to come back to.
I don't know with these campy foxes and everybody just abusing more like
Yeah.
mobility issues that Peach has. I imagine it's going to be tougher and tougher with people a lot more willing to camp and abuse the fact that Peach can't catch him.
Maybe catch me coming back as a Falco main, right? Like
Oh,
Maybe once I get a job or something, once I figure something out to spruce up my income, see me having a CRT at my station.
are you
Actually,
so are you looking back for work after class? I know you mentioned in the very beginning, just to kind of bring this around home, that you're taking finance. So is there like kind of a larger goal with that, or is it just kind of a small piece of a puzzle?
um, it's one of those. I always come back to when things like this happen. When life is kind of in disarray and you don't know what to do. You have to figure out what you want to do. And what's like something that's been nagging me for a while is something I've kind of wanted to do or try was get down the path of like financial analyst or business analyst or equivalent. So I was actually like looking for and trying to apply to jobs, but I got really overwhelmed because I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I haven't been working in years. And so then I found out about online classes and I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can refresh my memory, learn new things, like have a little bit of a credit to myself when I'm applying, saying, hey, look, I was, self-employed for 3 years, but I'm putting in a lot of effort to try to get back into the workforce under uh, this position area. So please give me a job. But then part of me, like, I don't really want to just go, like, I refuse to go work at a bank or anything in the financial industry. Um, I the culture is too terrible. I wish I could stay in esports, but the type of position I want doesn't really exist in esports for
What would
someone
that
of
be?
my. Oh, it's like I said, like a financial analyst or something. Somebody who's like I like numbers and I love finagling numbers. Whether like I do like stats. I like spreadsheets and all that fun stuff.
Me
You
too.
understand? Yeah, you understand. So it's really hard to find that though. And like, if Smash was Overwatch sized or League sized or CS:GO sized or maybe even Smite sized or something, like I bet you there's a position I could easily just jump into and fill, right? But since Smash isn't that way, and I can't make a living off of doing any of that inside of Smash, I got to go elsewhere for the
Hmm.
time being to do what I want. And like I said, I'd love to stay in video games or esports. And I mean, hey, if anyone knows a job out there in that type of area, hit me up. Or even like equivalent. Like I'm not, that's kind of what I want to do. But if the right esports job came up, like um, for the like, I'd love. It's the weight of like the position itself versus where you're working. So it's like if there was a job with an esports team, I'd be a lot more willing to compromise what I'm doing, right? So just kind of going with the flow right now. I have this path I'm set on, but I'm not like so focused on it that I'm ignoring any other opportunities out there.
Okay. So you're having it so that you have it in your back pocket, but if something else comes, then you have options.
Or I guess I'd say it's more so it's what I'm driving towards, but if I see a detour along the way, I'm down to take it.
So overall, like, do you feel like you accomplished everything you wanted in Smash?
Never.
Like, what do you want to accomplish? Like, what's left there for you?
I mean, it's not what's left. It's just what I don't like wording it this way. And I don't know if people will believe me, but it's like what got taken from me, basically.
What do you mean by
Um,
that?
so the beginning of 2016 was great for me, right? I was on the path. I was doing great. I was like, I did really well at Five Gods. I was having great showings. I was really close to beating people. I was looking for my next chance with Armada because we'd always had close sets, and I was better than ever at the time. And then my life just fell apart, and I was never able to get back to where I was. And it's like even though I never had the goal or desire to be number one, like there's all these people I knew I could be better than and could beat. And I was like, man, I could be a top 10 player with a little bit of work. And like I was trying to put in that work and get there. But then, life happens and you can't, I don't know, like I can't just go back and I never could. So it just sucks.
So, do you feel for like players like PP and Leffen then, who kind of went through those kind of things?
understood Leffen so well. Like PB's hard because he never came back. Like Leffen came back, and Leffen was struggling for a while. But Leffen has this overall like burning desire to be the best and be better than people and all this good stuff. And I guess also being closer to Leffen, like I was good friends with PP. Like we definitely talked at times, but after teaming with Leffen and being like his babysitter in the U.S. and all that stuff, I felt like really close to him during a lot of this time. And like I felt like I understood what was going on with him. And even if he didn't want to hear it from me and didn't want to take my advice or listen to me because he's a little butthead like that, and I don't know, it's just it's just that's how it goes. But he had the burning desire to be number one, so that's why you see him coming back with vengeance, and why you saw me like fall apart. Yeah, he heard me bitch and complain about some tournaments about how I was having issues. It
Would
was
he call you out on that, similar to how you used to kind of
call, used to what?
like since you were trying to like push him and stuff, and you talked to him like when you were in your slump? Would he talk to you?
Leffen reach out to somebody? Are you kidding me? We were only good friends when he was in the U.S. So then he'd move to Sweden and forget I existed, right? No, I mean I'm embellishing, but I don't know. I think if I ever reached out to him and needed it, he would help me out. But
Well, I
he
just
didn't.
kind of figured you guys were teammates, and I've seen him rip Ice apart, so I figured there'd be shared interest in making you, I guess, shape up.
Well, he ripped Ice apart when they were still teammates, but he broke up with me. So
Oh yeah.
he broke up with me for the hotter foreigner, Fox player. What was that tweet I made? That shit was so funny. Uh, it's oh, it's really hard to see your
X.
ex partner be more excited with his new partner than he ever was with you. He was like tweeting about teams all the time and so excited for teams. And back when we were teaming, he told me he's like teams is just there for more money, and it's like it's okay, I don't mind it, but it's all about singles. It's all about singles. I don't really care about teams. I just want the money, and I just want to like win another event. So I don't
So
know what happened while he.
you felt like a prostitute then.
No, not exactly, but I don't know. He like didn't dislike it, but he didn't. He definitely was not about it like he was with Ice after he came back. And maybe that was maybe because he was banned for a year, he found a new appreciation for teams, or maybe as he got I don't know. Who knows what happened? I never really asked him. I don't even know if he really wants me to say all that, but he can deal with it because
Yeah.
he's all about the truth and honesty.
Well,
So
this is reminiscing with you, not
yeah.
laughing.
Well, I mean, the stories I could tell, right? All the stories I could. I always thought about doing like MacD's Gossip Corner as like a series, but then I realized no one would ever talk to me if I just start telling
You know what?
everyone's.
You know what you do. So I'm working on a tell-all book, but I'm not releasing it until 2025.
Oh my god.
So I think the phrase "too soon" definitely applies here. But you should save those stories.
I don't even like. That's the problem is I forget so many of the stories.
You should write it down.
I'm not a writer. I'll think about it. I'll just join your memoir.
All right. We'll talk about what actually happened to PM and like Nintendo and VG Bootcamp and Twitch and whenever decisions are made, like what does it actually mean?
I'll be waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
Well, the dream scenario is I never have to release that book because that means that Melee is still like going like high and strong.
Okay, well we'll go with that. You're writing the book to save Melee so that it never has to be released. I get it. Thank you, Tafo. God's doing God's work.
Of course, man. Well, I mean, I'm like completely like out of questions. Like, is there anything you want to add, or I didn't ask you that you wanted me to go like? I hope Tafo asks me this so that I can just answer that question.
I mean the only thing you didn't ask me, which I guess I was now thinking about it, is you never asked me about like teams versus singles or anything. But
Oh yeah, I feel like all you people that are play Peach at a high level love teams. So what are your most enjoyable teams experiences aside from killing Zoo randomly to
That one's so fucking
Fiction getting comboed to death while you just couldn't
funny.
do anything.
I tried. I tried to help. My favorite, my absolute favorite teams moment was with Vans at the one Apex.
When you did like
When
100.
yes,
You can tell
you
the
are.
story. You tell
But
the story.
so we're just right. We're teaming. We're against Zelda Freak and Dark Atma and their Fox. Who cares? And it's just me and Vans are both on the bottom of Battlefield, and the Fox ends up right between us. We both down smash at the same time, and you just hear clean like bum bum bum, but like two Peaches down smash at the same time, hitting the Fox, and he goes from like 0 to 70 or something ridiculous, like in 3 hits, and you hear the commentators groan. You hear the crowd. If you like re-listen, you can hear the crowd even groan, just like oh, like that's so dirty. And then you look at the player cams and you see me and Vans are like because it was just so funny. Like that was just that's got to be my favorite like singular teams moment
Not
that's ever
killing
happened.
Zoo randomly.
That one's really funny, but that's also me being an idiot. And I don't think me being an idiot, although that happens a lot, should not be one of my favorite moments or my most favorite moment.
It was funny though.
That's so funny. That's one of the underappreciated moments that no one got to see because it was way too in the past. And then the pause, right? I just kill him, and then there's just a like 5 second pause while he looks at me. That was he looks at me and he's like, "What the heck?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "That was me," and I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh well, at least I edge guarded you properly because I was still trying to get better at the time, right?" And he's like, "Well, of course, I didn't try to dodge you. You were I thought you were my teammate, so you just wouldn't hit me." And I'm like, oops." The only time to be 4v1 because there's an ice climbers on the other team. That was
That's so funny. Who's
crazy.
your favorite teammate to be around, or like to team with?
I think me and Connor overall had the most fun together. We would just team all the time. We just love double. Like I love Double Peach as a team. I just think it's so silly and funny. And so me and Connor would do that a lot. And we just had the funniest times. There's one video where we're in a 2v1 and it was like, a stab recording setup or something. And you can hear me shout, "Tech chase, let's go," when I grab the Fox and we start doing down throw tech chases. And so just stuff like me and Connor would just do ridiculous stuff. We tried to do a down tilt double peach bomber. We got it like one time eventually. Just ridiculous things like that was the me and the Connor. So teaming with him was just always a blast.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on. I wanted to like highlight players that really didn't get a chance to talk that much, and since you don't really get on stream regularly anymore, so a lot of people don't really know what goes in the inner workings of MacD, and I'm rubbing it in as an implicit, hey, you should be doing stuff. But anyway,
Yeah. Teach me to commentate. I'm gonna hit up D1. I'll pay D and Brandon for some commentary lessons. See me on the mic.
MacD's tournament. Alrighty, I'm gonna let you go, you silly goose. All right, good night, everybody.